Hi everyone, today I thought I would do a video for y'all about teachers. So a lot of times in the non-dual circles you'll hear speakers and those that speak about this talk about that there are no teachers and there is no students, there is nothing to be done, and there is no one to teach, and that sort of lingo. So while on one hand that is completely true, because if we have seen the non-dual reality of what everything really is, there is no one. It is clear that there is no you, and it is certainly clear that there is no others. It is all just one, happening, appearing, changing in an infinite way. So there are really no teachers. There is nothing that you can really do, you personally, as what you thought you were. So what I thought was Nydia doing everything, going to college, learning, doing this, that identity, there is nothing that identity can really do to change what's already going to unfold for that identity. But at the same time, what my true nature really is here. It's here as this sort of consciousness and awareness that it is. And it is changing, growing, learning, and doing, and you could even say it is making decisions, it is creating the future, it is creating everything that is, and it's already here, but it's all happening in a way that I can feel that I am the creator of my own life. So when I learn something and I choose to implement it in my life or whatever, it truly feels that I am doing it, that this character is doing it. Now that's just something that happens. It's a play of life, and there is things that we learn and do and grow and change, and that is why I wanted to share that teachers are necessary. Now they're not going to always be necessary, but where we find ourselves today, there are teachers, and we send our kids to school. We have to learn how to do certain jobs. We have to learn so many things in this world. And that is just what it is currently. So in our current reality, this understanding of non-duality, which is the simplest thing ever because it is just what it is, it's just also seeing that there is no selves and everything is just connected and one. So in this reality that most of us live, this realization or this understanding of reality is not the most popular or the most realized. So most people have not realized this. I've heard other people say that maybe only 1% of the population has this realization currently. So if that's so, and this is all just in the illusion, so I'm talking everything in the illusion, so play along with me. So in this illusion, there's only really 1% that have seen what non-duality is and truly have embodied it. So if that's the case, then the majority of people are living in a way that they do need to be taught. They are completely on board with going to school, learning, doing all of these things. Now, for someone who has realized, you see that all of it is really nonsense. It's, on one sense, I really did value education, and I still do. But on another sense, a lot of this stuff is being seen that it's just a lot of nonsense. And the education system and so many different things are kind of struggling right now. Even science, math, and things like that are starting to come across roadblocks and things that is starting to show that there is nothing. And when we see that science is progressing in a way of nothingness, of showing that really 99.9% of everything around us is nothing, it's really hard to justify the materialist ideas and everything about that. So there's this struggle where some people are on this end, some people are on this end, and even the people that believe or have seen through their studies that really everything is nothing, they still struggle to cross over to really understand that it all just is happening and there's really nothing more to know about it. But this can be very complicated for the mind, so it's not for the person. So when you see this, it's when you have surrendered and lost that sense of self, which hasn't happened to very many people. So in the current, you could say, time period that we're in, although this is all the illusion, there is no time periods, there is nothing really happening. But in this time period, for, to speak of it, we could say it's almost like being in the dark ages. People do not see this. People do not understand this. So there needs to be teachers. There needs to be everything that we want to deny or say, or some speakers want to say that those things are not. That all is. That is exactly what non-duality is. It's what's happening. So if there's teaching happening, whether it's me teaching something, or a teacher at school teaching something, or somebody at your workplace teaching something, or your own mother or father teaching you something, it's all valid. It is accepted and it is what it is. So if that is happening, that's exactly what should be happening. One day in, let's say, if we believe in the future, which time is all just happening, but let's just say for conversation's sake, in the future, one day possibly everybody could be realized and everybody could be awakened to this reality, and teaching may dissolve or not be necessary in a lot of different domains. But for the person and what humanity is, it's always changing, it's always growing, it's always doing something. So what we are right now and the infinite beings that we could be, we are humans, and humans have intelligence and the ability to learn and implement and have inventions and create things, and there's just so many things. So because that is the case, teachers and teaching is going to be going on, and if it is going on, it's exactly what should be happening. So there's nothing wrong with teaching. Now, one day when, let's say, the majority of people realize or something like that, well, those people are not going to want to be taught. They may want to be taught if they love to learn. That's just what happens. Or maybe they don't want to learn any of that stuff because they really see the reality of what it is and there's no need for it. So there's no telling what will happen with anything, really. It's just all a mystery. But in today's world, the way I see it now, teaching is happening, and it's exactly what should be happening because it's happening. You can't deny what's happening. You can't want what's happening to be different. It is what's happening. But for the mind and for, brainstorming's sake, that's why I'm speaking about it in just a normal human experience. Like, why does teaching happen? It happens so that we grow and that we can change and evolve and always be changing into the infinite amount of experiences and things that we could be. So that is what's happening. Now, the dangers in teaching and the dangers in being taught or subscribing to a certain teaching is that we limit ourselves, and what we are is not limited. We are completely and totally limitless. But when we limit ourselves to a certain teaching or a certain institution, then we have limited ourselves to those standards or to those beliefs, and everything outside of those is completely rejected, which we can't reject anything because non-duality is everything as one, and nothing is rejected. Everything that is happening is this. So even when I say I don't like crime or I don't like people killing people or this or that, that's a preference. But if it's happening, it's what's happening, and it can't be any different. So you include everything and you keep your mind open to everything because anything and everything can happen. Now, so that's the danger in teaching. So if you are a person listening to this and you're not realized or you don't understand that, I would just say be real careful of falling into a certain teaching and only believing that. And even what I'm speaking of, I wouldn't say, oh, that's the only way. Because what I've seen is that each experience, even the realization or the shift of anything like the self falling away or really realizing that it was never there, all of that is a personal experience. Just like falling in love is a personal experience. How that happens or who you fall in love with or what that relationship is like nobody can speak of. It is personal to you and it's unique to you. So the same thing when it comes to realization, to spirituality, to what is, every expression is unique. They're not all going to have the same experience. So some of the things I speak of, I wouldn't hang on or believe that this is the way it is. What happens in your life or in your situation or in your expression could be completely different, but you could still become realized in a completely different path or way. So always keeping an open mind that your situation and who you are in this expression is completely and totally unique. So for example, there's a lot of people that I know that are, let's say, Christians. Some of them are Muslims. Some of them believe in science and they're atheists. Now these are all people that I know. And they are so hell-bent on whatever it is that they believe. So, for example, believing in science and believing and being an atheist, that was somebody that I knew. And they were just so hell-bent that that is the way it is. Anytime God or anything spiritual was talked about, it was completely blocked out. As a matter of fact, anytime I spoke of it, I was told, please don't speak to me about that. I don't feel comfortable hearing about that. And even my own daughter had brought it up to this person. And again, it was said, please don't talk to me about that. I have no interest or do not want to know that because I do not believe that. So that person is already closed to the most wonderful thing that you could ever experience in this world. So because of that train of thought and the education that person received, and for them to be in an institution of science, they have completely closed themselves off from everything else. And from having this realization that is really the greatest and most beautiful thing that you can experience as an expression here, your true reality and sense of being. So that person's blocked off. Now we move on to, let's say, Christians, Muslims, or anybody in organized religion. Those individuals have also closed themselves off because they have a view of God being a certain way. And anything that is any different from that is completely blocked. And they are very quick to say that if you were to describe God as being one, as being everything, as being this car seat, being these things, that would be offensive to them and they would not listen to that. So that would all be blocked. So they will never reach or have this realization, which is to me very, very sad, because what they're doing in their organized religion is trying to get closer to God, trying to be part of God, be in God, be the whole reason of religion is God, but they're missing it all. They're really missing it all. And even in Christianity, there are so many pointers in there, but somehow it's still missed. Also with Islam, there's so many pointers in there and things that I've heard, and now that I hear it, I'm like, wow, a lot of those texts and teachings in their Bibles or Qurans were actually pointing to what I'm speaking of. So if you can go back and read those things, you can see those things. But if you believe that that Bible or that Quran is literal and that is just that and it's nothing different, or if you believe the Pope is infallible and anything, whatever, if you believe that, where you believe something's just that way, you're never going to see this. You're never going to see this. So the dangers in teaching is locking yourself into some kind of paradigm that you can't see outside of. Something that you're locked into that rejects everything outside of that. And if you reject anything like that, you will never, ever see this. This is for the open mind. This is for the person that is open to seeing anything and everything that happens and accepting that in that way. It's not a teaching, so that's why you hear that. It's not a teaching, it's literally what is. So when I've taught anywhere from pre-K to now, like older children and even teenagers and things like that through counseling and teaching that I've done. And so in those roles, one of my major inspirations was Maria Montessori. And I learned about her before my daughter was born. And I was very inspired by her style of teaching, her purpose for teaching. She taught young children that didn't have mothers or fathers. They were from the orphanages, or, they had been abandoned. And so she taught them to be very independent, but she also taught them to love learning. So I don't know the quote right now, but it's always just stuck with me that her whole thing was to instill the love of learning in the children, just to be open to learn, to be open to curiosity, to exploration. So to me, that is the basis of learning. So everywhere I've gone that I've ever counseled or taught someone, first, my goal is to build a relationship with them and to show them and teach them the love of learning, the love of having curiosity and seeing and exploring and then finding out what that is. So never being closed, but always being open to learning about anything and everything, because there is so much in this world that is so amazing. And we don't have to learn all the details. When you have this realization, you realize what's most beautiful and most important is literally what's arising. So if I'm going to study, I don't necessarily want to know everything about these sunglasses, like how it was made or something. Now I can just look at it and just see how amazing it is that it just appeared. But generally we study things, and most humans today, and the way things are currently, we study things. But even that is very amazing to study it. So instilling the love of learning is also an open-mindedness, teaching an open-mindedness of seeing things from different perspectives, exploration, all of these things that will actually allow you to have this realization. So when I teach or counsel someone, my main priority is to have a relationship with them, and then to teach them the love of learning and instill that in them, so that sparks a passion in them for them to want to learn, for them to want to explore. And if I say something that they don't agree with or whatnot, that they can go explore it, they can go research it, and they can go learn about it or have a direct experience about it. So everything that I teach is really, as a teacher, is really just opening the person to wanting to do that on their own. So there are people that are so closed, so closed, that they will never see anything, even if it walked right in front of them. And at one point I used to be like that. So there was a time when I didn't believe in ghosts or spirits or any of these things. And currently, just to kind of preface this, I do believe in ghosts and all those things currently. Anything and everything can happen. Ghosts, aliens, weird entities, strange animals you've never seen, all of these weird supernatural things that people don't want to talk about, they do happen. Because this is infinity, and everything and anything can happen. Now that's just happening. It has no meaning. It doesn't mean that really there are souls that come back or this or that. It's a play of life. It's like directing a film or a movie. It's all for fun. So it's just an imagination, a dreamer dreaming all of these things like we dream in our dreams. So all of those things, I wouldn't put a lot of weight on that and say, oh, well, that must mean that there's a soul or somebody that goes to the afterlife. I don't know, but all I do know is that everything is infinite, everything is one, we are all one. So even that is one, and even if that appears, that is what is. Everything that appearing is it. So if that's appearing, I can't reject that and say, oh no, that's not it, because non-duality says there's no self, so how can there be a ghost? you can't reject anything. You have to be open to everything, and you will be shown, and you will understand how it is that a ghost is here. So at one time I didn't really believe in ghosts and all of those things, and then I moved into a new house, and strangely I walked by what was my daughter's room at that time, and I saw a ghost little girl standing there. And the first time I saw it, I got this pit in my stomach, and I was so scared, but I walked away, took a deep breath, I walked back, she was still there. I chose to deny that she was there and not tell my husband, not tell anybody, and just hold the secret, because I didn't want that to be real. Do you see how the mind plays games and blocks things and separates you from things that really are it, and there's nothing to fear? So that all happened. I did get to the place that I accepted what it was and dealt with it and all of that. But this happens to everyone, or a lot of people with religion, with people that believe in the science community, that people that only listen to certain news stations, people that are on a certain political side. Anytime that you're picking a side or picking a belief or a view, you're picking that, but you're rejecting everything else. And when you're rejecting everything else, in all that rejection of everything else, you're rejecting what really is. And not that I can teach you anything, but I would like to, like I do with my students, is just instill a love of learning, of exploring, of keeping your mind open, of being open to anything and everything, of looking at different perspectives and then making a decision. Just being open to everything that is and can be. And even if it goes against what you thought was your belief here, even if it's completely against it, or something you never believed in. You never believed in aliens, but here an alien is. You have to stay open and malleable to change and learn, and have those experiences and see what you can take from them. Because the more open you are, the more you will see that everything is one. But every time you reject something, or you say, oh, I'm only going to believe everything that the universities say, or I'm only going to believe this political party, and all that other political party is just trash. If you're believing those sorts of things, like I say, you're separating yourself from everything else. You're just going to have what it is that is your belief. So what happens naturally when you have this realization is that beliefs and dogmas just completely fall away instantly, because it's seen through. It's all fake. It's all an illusion. You see that automatically. You will never, ever subscribe to those sorts of things again. Now, you'll have preferences as a human expression and things like that. There are certain beliefs I have, but I see through them. But at the same time, they have still stayed with me. There are certain things that that you could say, oh, well, how can she believe that? Well, it's because that's been my preference and my belief for so long. But that particular belief usually doesn't change anything else. It's maybe one day I can share some of that. But basically, my belief that has stayed with me is that life is beautiful. Life is to be happening. And so life is changing, ever becoming something else. It's limitless. It's boundless. It's a mystery. It's unknown. So all of these things are descriptors for what I'm speaking of. So in any case, I just wanted to talk about teachers. I know that we hear a lot that there are no teachers and there are no students. That is because there is no selves in all of these expressions. No one can be taught. No one can learn. Everything is just happening. What's going to unfold for you is going to unfold. So, but what's going to unfold for you, if it is watching this video and becoming more open-minded, then that's what's unfolding for you. And what's unfolding for me, if it is to teach or speak of this topic, then that's what's unfolding for me. This Nydia expression is not choosing to do it. It's just happening. And it's happening because it should be happening. Anything that happens is supposed to happen. If it wasn't supposed to be happening, it wouldn't happen. So it's very simple, but I guess my main message with this is that there are teachers and there will continue to be teachers as long as they're needed. And if only 1% of the population is realized, then teachers will be there. But just to summarize, being taught or learning or becoming part of an institution can be dangerous if it keeps you closed-minded. The type of teaching I'm talking about is a teaching where you instill the love of learning in the person, so that they can explore and be open and learn so much about what this reality is until they have this realization. So that is what I wanted to speak about today. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I have my information in the description box. If you need to contact me or anything like that, all of that is there. Thank you for watching.